Production support for Hot and Cold is brought to you by American Solar Technics, manufacturers of components for wood burning and solar heating systems.
Hey, I'm Tom Gozy. Welcome to Hot and Cold. This week, we started to put trim up. But it's not just any trim, it's a special trim, and you have to wait to see why. Well, special trim you say? Of course special trim. We've got trim for the house here. This is a special trim in that it is all plastic. It's a cellular PVC called Azek. Got the hat on, and it's perfect weather for the hat because, man, I want to tell you, it is some cool out here today. But it's great trim installing weather. So what I got to do is we got to go inside and show you what we're doing. But you can see you can see that Tom had a little accident. And the electrical tape comes in very handy for keeping the Band-Aid in place while you're doing your work, because I don't let little things like blood stop me. Azek comes in standard wood sizes. It's a cellular PVC. It's the same density as wood. It is it works like wood. It routes, cuts, does all those cool things, and you can glue it together with PVC pipe cement, which is really cool for when Tom makes mistakes. Let's go inside. You can see here we've got before we go inside, I'll show you the bits and pieces. We've got a vinyl window here with the Azek vinyl trim, vinyl being PVC, and we've replicated what was here before. If you remember way back when, we've done the trim exactly the same way it was before. We don't have to paint it. We will, just to hide the nail heads. I've got stainless steel fasteners. One of the big things about PVC trim is it's non-hygroscopic. It will never pick up water, it'll never warp or do anything weird. The ocean being out there, blowing salt air in this way, we won't have the rot we had all over the place before. We're using stainless steel nails because of that salt air, so we won't have any streaking or staining from that. But let's go inside and look at the material itself. It's kind of interesting stuff. Well, like I say, it cuts just like wood. It feels like wood. It looks like wood, but it's not. It's plastic, and you can see it's all the way through, white. That's the color it comes in. What I particularly like about it is it has nice crisp corners. Regular wood doesn't necessarily have corners this crisp, and I think that makes for a nice detail on the exterior of the building. We're doing the window and door trim right now, and I'm getting ready. After I do the window and door trim, we'll do the corners. Azek comes as board stock, 1x6s, 1x4s, 5, 6, 8, 10s, and 12s, all come as 18-foot lengths. Then it comes as a 5/4 stock, which is a little bit thicker. I've got a piece here somewhere, which we're using for the tops of the windows. I think that comes in 20-foot lengths, and then they also make a center bead for soffits, and I think it'd be wonderful for inside work. That's also 20-foot stock. So I try to plan out what I'm doing. It is not the cheapest trim on the market, but I think it's very comparable in price to Select Pine. And when you look at it, if you look down here, there's a piece I cut because it's even longer. This is only about 11.5 feet. It's straight, there's no knots, it's homogeneous, so it really, you make maximum use out of everything that's there. So that's a really wonderful thing. And again, not having the issue related to water. You don't have to paint it if you don't want to, but you can paint it and it holds paint very well. What else? The Azek has to be caulked with a urethane caulk. instead of what we normally use with wood, which would be a vinyl acrylic caulk. And when I do little pieces like this, which you'll see me putting up in a little while, a little return like this, I don't necessarily have to nail that in place because I can glue it with PVC pipe cement, and that is pretty slick. And it holds very quickly when you bond it. This is a piece I made up for the top of the windows. As we're putting the windows together, there's all these different pieces, most of which are just 1-inch boards. But the sill is 2 pieces that is laminated together. We'll show you that in a minute. And the top is also 2 pieces that's laminated, and we've beveled the top here. You can see it angles so it will shed water. And we're going to have a piece of flashing on top of this to cap it. So I haven't had to sand this or make it look any prettier than it is. I'm sanding these outer edges just to make them smooth because that'll be taking paint. And what we're going to do is we're going to put window trim in today because it's a perfect day for doing window trim. And I just want to show you one other thing that Azek makes, which is a corner board that is pre-made, nice, solid. Again, it's cellular PVC. It's got a finger jointed corner, and it comes in 6-inch dimension, and also 4-inch, and it's 5/4, so it stands out. Stands proud, as we say in woodworking. So nice solid detail. You know what's really cool about this stuff that I think a real sleeper application is using it in contact with masonry. You know, if you've got a brick house or something, you put this right up against it. You never have to worry about water causing a problem with the material. But you know what we need to do? We need to collect our wits, gather some pieces, and we've got a window. I left one window. I've trimmed out every window on the house except for one, because I wanted you to see how easy this is. The detail we worked out, which makes it look traditional with all new materials. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Okay, so we got one window left to do. You can see the other one next to us here has already been trimmed out. I've tar papered. I've told you how much I like tar paper over Tyvek Typar. And the tar paper is on in such a fashion that it sheds water, it shingles. One piece goes over the piece beneath it, so if it does get any rain, which obviously we're going to get, it will shed water. The good thing is when we put the Azek on, that's also going to lock the tar paper in around the windows here, so we have to put less straps up, or lats, to hold the tar paper. It's windy down here. I'm a little nervous about tar paper blowing off. So all around the window we'll lock it in when we get the trim on. So we've got a sill here that I've made up. I've got mud on it because I've been fooling around with it on the ground. And I clamped it together, but apparently I had to clamp a little bit loose here. And you can see a little bit of a gap, but that's pretty solid anyway. And when that's painted, you won't even see that crack. So what I need to do is, this is sort of a faux sill, and it's going to go up underneath the vinyl window like so. And what we need to do to get it prepped is we drill 2 holes. First I do a really big hole that only goes in about 1 inch or so. Then I do a smaller hole for the screw itself. That's for the head. And that is for the actual shank of the screw. It's unlikely we would split it, but we don't want to find out otherwise. So that's ready to go. Now we take some polyurethane caulk. Let's put these drills out of the way. And we caulk underneath here where the faux sill, sounds like French for fake sill, doesn't it, goes. Just a good healthy bead of the urethane caulk. A lot of urethane in this house, between urethane caulk and urethane foam and urethane can foam. And just wait till we do the urethane for the wood trim on the inside. Okay, we want to have a good watertight bond there. So we've done that. We take my faux sill, we clean some of the dirt off I got on the back side. And I pre-marked where I want it to go so it lines up properly. So it goes here to here. I put one of my Torx head screws in. And I get my very nice new rigid drill. And we really cinch that sucker up. Now there is framing, solid wood framing we're going into and back here. So we're really screwing into something solid here. Okay, so that's that. So now we have a sill that's in place. Now we need to get two vertical pieces. You can see I flank the, stuck on the caulking tube, flank the window I'm working on with a lot of ladders just so it's quick and easy for me to keep moving around. I like to keep moving. So we need two pieces about 53 inches long. And we need to cut a little bit of an angle here. So I'll go get two pieces 53 inches long, and then we're going to mark them. That's rough. I don't have to do them exact. And then we'll cut them exactly. So I'll go get those, and we'll do that. Okay, here I am. Now what we've done, I brought the portable chop saw just to make it quicker. Put that there. We beveled the edge. You know what? That's the wrong bevel. We can fix that. I got the portable chop saw right here. That's why I don't measure exactly, because I can be stupid at times and do things wrong. That should be about 25 degrees. I did it at 45. Doy. Let's get a piece of wood under here. Hold it up. Just want you to know that when I make a mistake, I admit to it. I need another piece. Let's put this under here too. That's better. 25 degrees is what we want. Now, God, sometimes I could be so numb. So what we do is I like to trim the foam off first. See all this foam here? We use for sealing. Obviously that's sticking out way too far. So we just take a razor knife and cut it flush so it doesn't get in our way. Go. There we go. Sometimes the foaming gets a little out of hand, doesn't it? That's okay. All right. So now, what I like to do is not measure exact, just give myself some extra dimension here for when I make a boo-boo, because I find when I'm doing miter stuff, I can make mistakes with great regularity. I kick that in at the bottom. Now what we're doing is we've got this detail here. It's kind of a raised detail. It looks like a storm window almost on this vinyl window. We're coming in and overlapping 3/4 of an inch with the trim and leaving this detail exposed all the way around. So I like to push this in at the bottom, come in and mark up at the top, which I've just done, and then I come down again, and I always like to mark with a square when I'm doing this. Now before I do that square cut, let's fix the miter that I screwed up on this piece too, because I mitered both of them improperly. So, a little bit more. Okay. So now I'll put the miter back to 90 degrees. I like this little Ryobi miter saw, chop saw. It's not real heavy duty, but it does a pretty decent job for what I need to do. And it's lightweight. Okay, so now I've done that one. I'm going to put these two together and mark the other side to the same length. This way I know, if I had my pencil, this way I know that they're exactly the same. So I put the bottoms together. I come across the top, and that will be right. So we do the same thing. Okay, now we're moving with such propitious speed. We need to, we'll set that there. We need to get some nails and a hammer, which are conveniently sitting right over here. Now we have two places, two different nailing protocols. I've worked out quite a system in the time I've been doing this. We have a framing member right underneath here, and then out here we're just going into some framing members right next to the edge of the window, and then out here is just OSB. So I'd like to go into both. So let's get a long nail. I like to use the long nails, which are 2.5 inch stainless steel nails. Be right opposite where this screw is that's holding in the sill. Now I'm using a stainless steel ring shank nail, which Azek suggests I not use. They're the only ones I could find, and that were stainless. And I like them because they do grab real well. They're a little bit harder to nail, and they're a little more difficult to get out if you make a boo-boo. I never make mistakes though, so. And she does bite real well. So I tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to put the 2-inch nails in here. I'm going to put the 1.5 inch out here. And I'll get the other piece up. We're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, through the miracle of television, all that nailing will be done. Stay with us. Well, we got the two side pieces up, and we got a top piece, which is a piece of 5/4, a little bit thicker. This is 3/4 inch, 1-inch boards, so they're 3/4. And this goes over top, and we overhang either edge 1/2 inch. And again, we do the same kind of nailing routine. Whoop. Like that? I did that on purpose, just to entertain you. Okay. Step over onto this ladder. Can't have too many ladders, right? Now the ring shank nails are really not the best. The smooth nail is better for nailing, but I got used to it. And we put one more in here, and we'll put a couple in the middle. Now we do want to stay away from the edge, much the way we would with regular wood, but it's not a big deal. And again, 2.5 inch nails are the standard for me for doing the 5/4. The 1-inch board we can do without. We can use the 1.5 inch nails. Now, I could leave it like this. Move the ladder out of the way, you take a look at that. That is not unattractive trim the way it is, and in fact you see a lot of houses that look like that, and that's pretty good looking stuff, I think. But what we'll do, step over here with the ladder, what we'll do to jazz it up, which was what was here originally, is we'll replicate the original trim. We have another board. This is just a 3/4 inch board that's over the top of the piece of 5/4, and it's fairly simple. Right in the center, it's up. It's got a diagonal cut up from the edge up 2 inches in the center. So if we cut a piece of material like that and put it on there, we're well on our way to making something that's very distinctive, that really doesn't take much time. The first one takes a long time, but after that, the 10th one, which is where we're at now, it's a piece of cake. right, so what we have now is the cover piece that will go on the top of that. We've got 2 mitered cuts on either edge. And if we measure this, it should be what? 43. Half of 43 is what? 21 and a half. You knew that. So we mark 21 and a half right in the middle. We take our little angle here. We go up right in the middle to 2 inches. And that's the point we need to cut to. So we need to mark 2 straight lines there. We're going to cut that out. And miss the van, we're almost done. It just goes so quick. So I've made the 2 cuts now. We just snap that off. I take out my razor knife. Got a little nub here in the center. You always, when you're using a razor knife, you cut away from yourself. Otherwise, you have to put electrical tape on your hand. Or you keep your fingers out of the way if you're cutting towards yourself. And we just want to clean that up a little bit, take out some of those saw kerf marks. Excuse me. I happen to have my Metabo sander here. We'll just take those out and we'll be ready to put it up. All right, so I've got everything ready to go. Now I'm making 2 marks on either side of the window here, 2 3/4 inches up. Now, you know, I really am kind of cheating. That I think, you know, people have complimented me in the past couple days about how nice the trim looks. And it's no invention of mine, I'm just copying what was here originally. And I saved the old top pieces and I'm just replicating them. I'm doing it in Azek, which of course will last forever. So here I've got the 2 3/4. I'm putting 2 nails here just so I have something to hold the trim. Because I am working by myself. And we ignore that man behind the camera. And we take this piece and we bring it up and we set it on these 2 nails I just put in. And that gives me a spacer, except the ladder is hitting. So I just bring the ladder up and in a little more so it's not hitting the trim. And that is centered perfectly. I put a nail in my mouth because that's the way the old timers used to do it. I'll bring it up to that mark. Oop. Oop. That's what I don't like about the ring shank nails. And it's good it happened because you were wondering. As I throw the other ring shank nail to the ground in desperation, they do tend to bend, stainless steel nails. You have to have nippers to remove them. So I have the nippers. I just pull that out and drop it for picking up later on. I have to tell you, I have bent my share of these stainless steel nails, which cost $5.50 a pound. But they're worth all the nonsense we go through. Now, you could do this with an air nailer, a pneumatic nailer. It would be a heck of a lot easier because we just shoot it in. But I don't have one. I am a little nervous about nailing my fingers together. Considering I measure my success by how much blood I draw, there's no reason to tempt the fates. Now I'll finish nailing that in a minute. We're running out of time. I want to show you, we've got these miter pieces that'll go in the corner here, like so. Now I haven't been nailing any of these in place. I've been gluing them. You gotta love this. Now you can glue wood too, but but there's always the potential the glue joint will come apart with moisture. With Azek, which is PVC, we can solvent weld it together and it will not come apart. I'm going to grab a couple nails because I'm going to need them in a minute here. I'll show you why. Putting the PVC cement on, grabbing my hammer. I don't have to scramble too fast because it's cold enough. The solvent and the adhesive is not going to flash off very quickly. One saving grace to working this time of year. And the way I've been doing this is fitting it in place. I probably could just leave it there with nothing holding it, but I toenail a couple of nails in which just hold that in place. And I get to recycle those nails when I'm done. So we do that, we'll do that on both sides. And we are so close to being done, the show's almost over. Okay, so this is the top piece. Last part of the whole deal. All we need to do is screw it in place. This is very much like the windowsill, except I showed it to you a little bit earlier. It's bevel on the top, it's flat on the bottom. It's going to hang over either edge 3/4 of an inch. That look even to you, cameraman? Okay, I'm trusting the cameraman. There we go. And we got one little piece of 1/4 inch trim that goes underneath this cap, which I'm going to do on a day when it's warm because I have to do a lot of caulking. All these cracks need to be caulked. And then on top, we're going to put a copper drip edge, a flashing, if you will. And there we go. We'll finish that up. We'll paint it in the springtime. And that, as I say, is a wrap. The trim is easy. We are not done with trim by any stretch yet. We still have to do corners. We have some doors to do. And my experience thus far has been nothing but positive. The biggest negative is you can't burn the scraps. That's not a big deal because there are many scraps. I'm gluing scraps together and doing other things with them. Anyway, give us a call on the radio if you have any questions about Azek or anything else, because very interesting material, which I think we're going to see a lot more of. We got to go, we're out of time. See you next week. Keep warm, you know. I don't know, but there's a nip in the air. Huh.
Production support for Hot and Cold is brought to you by American Solar Technics, manufacturers of components for wood burning and solar heating systems.